and welcome to episode 30 of the Just Run podcast with me, Reese Morgan.
And me, Nathan Marshall.
Tonight's episode is with Sam Griffiths. Sam is an incredibly talented athlete and runner, conquering everything from 5Ks to half marathons with some outrageously fast times. You can take a look at his ever-growing Instagram at Globe Runner Griff. But to make a point, his 5K PB is 15 minutes 33. That makes me feel physically sick. He can run 10K in 32:54, and his current half marathon time is just over 74 minutes, which I'm sure will be broken on the Cardiff Half Marathon soon. Sam has undergone one of the most inspiring weight loss transformations that I've seen, and he's here to talk about that and more. So, without further ado, welcome to the podcast, Sam.
Thank you very, very much for having me on.
No problem. Thank you for coming on, mate. Are you sure you got time, with all this 5K, 15 minutes slaying that you've been doing?
Yeah, I've got all the time now. Yeah.
Actually, a bit of a backstory there, isn't there? Because me and Nathan first met you. Well, it was the first time I met you anyway, unless Nathan did. At the Why We Run Welsh meetup. I actually had to look last night. It's the 1st of April. We met you. And it was funny because quite comical. You met us after killing like a 16-minute 5K or something, which I would have been out for a week after that. And you had your road trainers on. And we did, I think, for me as well, one of the boggiest trails around Caerphilly that I've ever done. And I had trail shoes on, and you were slipping and sliding everywhere. I remember it very well.
Yeah, it was a good day. It was a good day. 16, I think I did 16:30 that morning and came up to join the Why We Run guys and experience trail running for my first ever trail run. Completely unprepared. I was driving past the car park and I saw you in your proper trail shoes. You had your hydration vests on. Some even had poles, and I'm stood there with my running vest and my road shoes, thinking, "What on earth have I got myself into here?" But as I say, like I was there for the community and the vibes, and I was slipping, sliding everywhere and having a good time. So yeah.
Wicked. It was good to meet you, man. And that's when you told me all about the weight loss and everything, and then started to follow each other on Instagram. And obviously, we'll come back round to that in a sec. But for anyone who doesn't know you, Sam, I mean, the first question I always ask is, do you mind just telling us a bit about yourself, your background, how you got into running, how long you've been doing it, and just a bit about yourself, really, mate, if that's okay.
Yeah, happy days. Yeah. If I rewind maybe 2 years ago, that's kind of when I started running, and I was 125 kilos, very unhappy with a lot of things in my life at that point. And it was just kind of that ignite where I decided to change my life and do something for myself, where I put myself first rather than going down the academia career, the kind of those pathways that you constantly get pushed down, and kind of just not do the norm and just do something a bit different. So I took a plunge. I quit my job. I was an aerospace engineer, and I went and traveled for a little while and started my weight loss journey. And now sit here today, nearly 50 kilos lighter, and in a new job that I'm really enjoying, great headspace, mentally well, physically really well, in the best shape I've ever been, and just thoroughly enjoying the process of change and pushing myself outside my comfort zone. And that's kind of why I really got into running to be first with, was running really opened my eyes to pushing yourself and making yourself get more comfortable in being uncomfortable. And that's something that I've really taken forward. Even when I started running, it was literally just from one lamppost to another, and then I'd have to walk, take a break, but I was still uncomfortable and pushing myself. And people say running gets easier, but it doesn't. Like, you just push yourself harder every time. And I just really enjoyed that process, and that's kind of where I sit today. And as you say, yeah, I've done a 5K in 15:33, and I hope to do Cardiff Half Marathon in 2 weeks in under an hour and 12. It has been my dream to run the London Marathon, and if I run under that time, then I'll get an automatic championship qualification place, and I'll be able to showcase my journey to a much bigger audience, saying how I've gone from this 125 kilo bloke that could not even run 5K to now 50 kilos lighter, and hopefully on the start line of London Marathon. So that's my journey.
That's
Wicked. I
incredible.
mean, it's,
How
it's
long
it is
ago was
great.
that, Sam?
The when I was the heaviest and
Yeah,
unhappy.
when did you start?
So I started my running journey about 2 years ago.
Is that
Um,
all?
yeah.
Bloody hell.
And you know, in the most humble way, I probably do have some natural ability with running. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's that easy for everyone, but like, what I wanted to showcase to everyone is that anything is possible. Like, and if I can do it, anyone can. And you know, during school time, like I could run, and I did run when I was in school, like 17, 18. Obviously, going through the university and degree, and also working full time as an aerospace engineer and doing all of that, I accumulated a lot of weight. I played Warzone way too much into my gaming, and you know, I've done some really cool things with it, and I did hit the world champs for Warzone and the World Series of Warzone. But what I did realize is like I wasn't happy in myself. I was doing things to please other people. Like, it looked really cool that I was in the World Series of Warzone, but did that make me happy? No, I was hella stressed. I lost all my hair. I had alopecia. I was unhappy in my body, unhappy in my health. But I was just trying to conform to like what everyone else would do in terms of job, career, life aspects, and all of that kind of thing. But now I've taken a bigger stance and just putting myself first: wellness, health, well-being, and running.
Amazing. And something you said actually then at the beginning about it never gets easier. I went on a run today, actually quite a tricky trail section. I was thinking that in my head, and I've said it before. Like, it doesn't matter what distance you run, running is hard, running is uncomfortable. But I think a lot of people focus on that and don't go out and just try it because they let that put them off. But it never gets easier, like you said. You just get fitter. Like, you can, if you run the same section of road for a year, that same section of road isn't going to change. It's just that you're getting fitter. So I think a
Exactly.
lot of people just need to, like you said, enjoy that process, enjoy that journey, endure it. And I mean, you're a perfect example, mate. Like I said, it absolutely, your training videos and everything. Again, we'll come back to it. You blow my fucking mind, mate. I'm not gonna lie, you really do. Like, you're one of the most talented athletes I've seen on Instagram. Like, legit, not blowing smoke up your ass. You are. What always amazes me is your finish line sprints. Like, it looks like you're just starting the race, and yet somehow you manage to pull it out of your ass, and you're like head down, gone. Like, probably at a quicker pace than I would be when I first start training. It's,
Well,
it's mad.
as, as you say, like with running, it doesn't get easier, but what does happen is you get more comfortable in being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you know, your ability to hold those higher heart rate ranges, the ability to push yourself beyond what you think is humanly possible. Like, you know, if I rewind 2 years ago, like doing a half marathon would have been like this huge big goal for me, even just finishing it. And now, like on a random Tuesday morning before work, I'll knock out 21K. And it doesn't make it easier because, like, even 2 years ago, when I would go out and do a 5K, I would push my body and push myself to my limits. And now, when I push myself, yes, I push myself to my limits. And yes, it's a lot faster, but like, I'm still experiencing the same amount of pain. I just have become accustomed and more comfortable being in that uncomfortable like space, and mentally just like strong enough to like push through the pain and push through those barriers that once like you would think is impossible, and then make it possible.
Yeah. You wrote in one of your recent posts that your which I like, the one where you posted in the military uniform, your dedication to nutrition and running has not only transformed your body, but led you to meet some incredible people who've supported you along the way. And like I've said, and I'll say time and time again, you got one of the best transformations I've ever seen. So do you mind just elaborating on that, like in a bit, like how did you nail your nutrition, like for example, because I know that that is such a huge aspect in any goal. Like, so what does your diet look like now compared to how it did in previous years?
Yeah, for sure. So, well, there's two kind of questions there, one about nutrition and one about like the people that I've met. So let's just tackle nutrition first. One thing that I'll say is like there is no quick fix. You know, everyone asks me like for the perfect diet, and there genuinely isn't one. And I've learned that throughout my whole process. So what I I did used to still have takeaways and those kind of things. But since on the weight loss journey, what I initially did to start my weight loss journey was track my calories. Um, not in a very healthy way, because I know that a lot of people can do this in an unhealthy way, but in a very healthy way of just making myself aware of the calories that I'm putting in my body. Not like stopping myself take them, but just making myself aware so that when I do make decisions on my nutrition at the start, I'm aware of like that chocolate bar is 1,000 calories, but that plate of chicken, rice, and vegetables is 700. What's going to fill me up? And it wasn't, I would never stop having a chocolate bar. I love chocolate. I've got a sweet tooth. But what I would do is just, I spent that first few months just making myself aware of what I was putting into my body. And then it slowly became kind of routine and natural for me to just be picking the things that were going to fuel me a lot better. So
Mm.
carbohydrate, protein, pasta, and not picking a Domino's takeaway. So that's kind of where I started on nutrition. And one of the other things that I've really taken on board is like if you restrict yourself so much, you can just fall off the wagon very, very quickly. And so if you're craving that chocolate bar of an evening, like instead of not having it and then the next day still craving it, and then the third day you're like, oh, stuff it. I haven't had chocolate for ages. And you go to the shop and you buy like 2 bars of chocolate and you just stuff them all down your mouth because you want to binge eat and you've been craving it. Like sometimes you can just get that satisfaction and that hit from just something so small. So like that, a small Freddo bar will give you your chocolate craving, and or or you buy a chocolate bar and you just like segment it into a third, or whatever you do. Like I've learned not to restrict myself. So if I am craving something, I will have it, but I will have it in moderation, and that's something that is very hard to do in terms of having it in moderation because the type of foods and nutrition that we crave as human beings, like chocolate, sweets, and stuff, they're very, very more-ish. Like you can't just have like a third, you just want more. But like having stuff in moderation. Um, and then I started getting into like super healthy habits in terms of like what I liked eating for breakfast. So making myself a fruit bowl and actually like caring for what I cooked and made. So whether it be a fruit bowl, whether it be yogurt or oats or scrambled egg, like this is going to seem so crazy, but like I would make it look nice. So like I would present it nice on a plate because then when I'm eating it, I'm like, no, this is really nice. And it's just little things like that that I think have made a big difference to my nutrition.
Mm.
And now I eat healthy, like subconsciously, because that's what I want to do. And now I feel good eating healthy. Whereas like before, if you'd have Domino's and Domino's cookies or Chinese takeaway or whatever, then I'd wake up the next morning and sometimes feel guilty or like not feel good. But like as I say, like 6 months into my weight loss journey, if I fancied a Chinese, I'm having a Chinese
Yeah.
and I won't restrict myself. But what I won't do is I won't have like what I would have done potentially is like have a Chinese, all the prawn crackers, like your spring rolls, your this and that. Like I'll just like satisfy my craving through one thing. Um, so that's the nutrition kind of thing. Um, and then also I know it kind of correlates to nutrition, but in terms of the people that I've met, and like if I expand upon that, I have met the most amazing people through running. People that have, it doesn't necessarily mean your time, people that have done ultra marathons like yourself, people that have done challenges, people that like push their bodies beyond the limit and beyond what like once would have been thought not possible. And in doing so, I've surrounded myself around people that really like value their health, value their fitness, value that. And that in turn has created a super positive effect on my nutrition because I take on board like everything that they say and what they eat and like the way that they operate. Rather than going to McDonald's, they go into um like a wellness hub and having avocado on toast because and then they're really looking after their body. And like because I now surround myself around these people and it's opened my door to all of these like friends, like now it makes it so much easier for me because maybe my friends before would have been like, do you want to go Mackey's? Let's go this. But now my current group of friends all are like, oh, should we go to this place and try something more healthy than what I would have ordinarily? So I can still get that people and that sense of belonging and friendship and still keep healthy. once that I didn't never used to have that, but now I do, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. No, that's a really good answer. That's surrounding is such a huge aspect, isn't it? Surrounding yourself with people who are like obviously have the same passions and kind of focusing their energy on kind of moving the same way that you are. Yeah, it's definitely like having those people trying to get come over the house to have Mackies and play Warzone again. Although you might do it on the odd occasion, but I mean that compared to going to a wellness hub and doing hot yoga and then going for a run is slightly different. And they're the habits that, like I said, are obviously working for you, and it's such an important aspect, isn't it, to pick those healthy habits.
Yeah,
Um,
and the type of people that I'm now surrounded by push you to be the best version of yourself. Like they
mm,
want you to do well. They'll come and support me at a race. Like they want you to be the best version. They want you to do what's best for you. And I was very scared at first because obviously running is this huge thing. And I didn't have friends really in the running sphere. But run club culture has become so prevalent and so huge now, even in the UK, that it's such an easy way to connect with people that can really open your eyes into amazing things. Like we met at a run club. I've met some amazing people at different run clubs. They're very social paces. You can get faster ones. Like I go to a track run club every Wednesday and do my speed session. And like it doesn't matter what pace you're doing. So when I go to the track, like I am the fastest one there. But everyone is working at the same effort and seeing everyone push themselves helps motivate me even more. Whereas like if I was doing it alone, it can be like a very lonely sport. But run clubs are so inclusive nowadays that you can literally go off and do your trail run. You can go off and do your easy run around Cardiff Bay or London or wherever you are. There will be a run club for you. And then I've just connected. And I would say most of my friends now are through that. And sometimes it takes a lot to take that leap and push yourself out of the comfort zone. But it's the best thing I've ever done going to these run clubs.
yeah, that's good. Do you mind, if you don't mind me asking, what is your mental health like now compared to how it used to be? Like, have you suffered with that in the past? Obviously, you don't have to answer that if you don't want to, but is it something that you've suffered with, and now again with all of this? I suppose you kind of answered it just now. You're in a much better place now because of that as well.
Yeah, like I don't think I was ever really in a bad place. But I just never valued myself in a way where I put my health first. And like I often made sacrifices back when I was a lot bigger, 2 years ago, whereby I would do things for other people, like
Mm,
and like in turn it would affect my own kind of well-being because I wasn't able to do the things that maybe once would make me the better person. Whereas now I take like a very like stance of like, no, I'm focusing on myself. Like if I've got a run to do or whatever I've got to do, then I focus on myself. Like and mentally I feel so much better and I just managed to fit things in. I would say I wasn't like I was mentally I was down, but I always just keep pushing through. And
mm,
but now I'm like genuinely happy. And you get the nicest compliments from people. Like even my family saying like how much like I smile now and like how confident I am. Like back then I was not confident. You would not have me running topless at a run club. You would not have me singing, dancing, and just like really enjoying myself because I was more introverted and not outgoing in that respect. Whereas now I'm extremely confident, extremely happy where I am in life. And you know what? I'm just enjoying like every day, and that is just such a nice thing to say and feel because I know back then I wouldn't have felt like
mm. Wow, that's powerful, man. I was going to say actually, it's nice to see you with the top on.
that. I mean, yeah, to be fair, rain or shine, it's normally off, especially when I'm running. But yeah, for this I
I
thought
don't
I'd have
blame
to
you.
put something on for you.
No, I don't blame you. You could have done a topless. You would have been our first guest, mate. Topless, whatever. Go for it if you
I
want,
mean,
man. I
sign
don't
me
care.
up. No.
Do it. Why not, mate? Do it. um, what is what would you say has been the hardest part about your journey to date to get to where you are now?
As in like from a running perspective or anything.
Just in general, really, just getting to where you are now. So has there been like a part where at any point where you've gone, I don't think I can do this like maybe I picked the wrong sport or you start to feel like you're not seeing the improvements and then obviously there was something that changed or was it, was there a part when you were like kind of in that negative mindset when you were like, oh, this is just not working for me? Because I just wonder how you get over those type of things because obviously it's quite a hard barrier when you're starting, like you said, when you're joining these running clubs and you're meeting these new people, it can be, you know, daunting. And I know a lot of people won't join running clubs for that reason, which winds me up because you just want to push them into it and just say, just give it a go. But I'm just wondering if there's been anything in terms of over the past 2 years, like what the hardest part of that was.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably two parts I'd cover on this. And I think the first one is kind of what you're saying, taking the leap to do something you've not done before is really difficult. So whether it be your first 5K, couch to 5K, whether it be doing your first 10K, half marathon, ultra, whatever it is, taking that leap where you do something that is outside of your comfort zone is hard.
Mm,
And so for me, like doing, I've done a lot of running, so like running necessarily isn't like the biggest leap. It's not like a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, like I have done them before. But hit for me, it was like hitting a certain mileage in the week and staying consistent with it. And, you know, it is really difficult because you have so many different factors to manage, like your work, life, family, everything. But like it is possible if you want it bad enough, you'll make it work.
mm,
And I remember running my first ever 50-kilometer week, thinking that this was absolute madness and I'm never going to be able to sustain this. And then, like, I fast forward just maybe 6 months and I'm running 70-kilometer weeks. And then I fast forward another, to date, I run 100-kilometer weeks on a full-time job, like managing like my friends, family. And I actually don't see it as like a huge thing that's taking out that much time of my day. You make it work. So I think one of the hardest things is for people to take that leap in doing something. And what I would recommend is booking that race, booking onto something. Once you've got that goal, I personally find it super empowering and super like motivating and having a smart goal. So like having something that you can work towards so that you can have that end goal. I literally, the moment I finish a race and I've got nothing in the calendar, will be sat on the computer looking for the next race because
mm.
I need something to keep me motivated because otherwise I personally would question what am I training for?
Yeah,
And so I find that if that's the hardest thing for me, I know I've probably digressed from your question here, but
no, it's
like
okay.
the hardest thing is just like taking that plunge and doing something that you haven't done before. Whether it be
Mm,
doing joining that run club, whether it be booking a 10K, whether it be booking a high rocks, whether it be anything, even just, a lot of people going to a cafe and being outside of your comfort zone because it's a new cafe, it's like something you've not done before. It doesn't matter what the challenge is, but just getting yourself out there, doing things that maybe you haven't done before, that
mm,
is probably the hardest part. So um when I was traveling, I stupidly signed up to the world's hardest road half marathon. And it was so far out of my comfort zone. It's called Point to Pinnacle, half marathon, 1400 meters of elevation. Um, and it gave me something to work towards. And I, when I traveled Australia, so it's in Tasmania, I got injured, and I got runner's knee so badly to the point where I literally couldn't even walk on it. And I found it really, really demotivating. I'd literally just set my 5K PB at the time, and the next day I went for a run, and I literally couldn't step foot on my leg. Like my knees were in so much pain. And it's in
mm.
times like that where I question, oh my God, how much progress am I going to lose? I've worked so hard to get to this point. How much progress am I going to lose? Like, how am I going to do it? What am I going to do? And for the first week, I did nothing. I did no running, I did no fitness, and I ate shit because I felt sorry for myself. I was like, this is not it. And after a week, I just gave myself a little talking to, and I was like, no, like, yes, you're going to lose running fitness because you can't run, but you don't have to lose all of the progress you've made on your weight, on your how you're feeling, you're doing fitness. So I would do after that week, I was like, no. So then I got back onto my diet and I started cross training. So swimming and trying to go to the gym. I'm not a gym ed and I DOMS hits me like no tomorrow. You know, if I go to the gym, I am in the most pain. In fact, recently I went to the gym and I had 5 days worth of DOMS and it was terrible. But anyway, um, those are the hardest moments in anything when you get your setbacks.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you right now, when you have those setbacks and you get through those setbacks, it makes you so much stronger. You come back mentally stronger, physically stronger, because you're in that headspace of I've pushed through that, I've been injured, I've got through it, and now I'm back on form. And it will
Mm.
come back. And from the running sphere, Jake Smith, elite Nike NN running athlete, he is the epitome of that. Having gone through his journey, he is now coming back to form, and it's amazing to see. But the hardest part is when you get a setback, being strong enough to tell yourself to do other things to get through it. And then when you get out of it on the other side, it's worth it.
Yeah. Wicked. I like that. I mean, that's top advice. Like, don't let the setbacks. It's. I mean, it's kind of like I had the urge to kind of quickly Google the Rocky quote then, but I thought I better not. About getting knocked down and getting back up because it's true, isn't it? They're the things that will literally stop someone from running when they have a bad injury or a bit of a setback, and then it's so easy to do nothing, to sit on the sofa, to watch a film, to stuff your face full of rubbish, and it's so easy to just go down that like rabbit hole of just getting back to that negative space that you were in at some point in your life. And it's so difficult to take that first step and then, get moving again. But once you've done it, like you said, even if you just walk into the end of the road to see how your knee feels, or you start lifting some weights to keep up your upper body fitness, once you do it, when you come out the other side, like you said, it feels so good because it's that feeling. I think we all have it when you accomplish something, whether it's in your fitness game or whether it's in your professional career, whatever it might be. You get that buzz, and it's the same thing. And you think that was good. Okay, cool. I'll go again tomorrow, and that's how it starts. And it's just I like that. It's about showing up and yeah,
Yeah.
taking those setbacks and using them for motivation.
Yeah, and as you say, like that's talking long-term injuries. Like even short-term, like today, for example, like I finished work at like 5:30 and like I've got this podcast and I'm sat on my bed thinking, "Oh, I'm too tired. I don't want to do it. I I just don't really want to, I just want a rest day today." But I was like, you've just got to overcome those demons and be consistent with it. So I went on my run, had a shower, came here, and I feel so great. Like I did it. So that's like the demons were telling me, you know what, you fancy a rest day today. And then I was like, I overcame that and like I feel so much better for it. And
Yeah, yeah,
like people talk about like the runner's high and like stuff like that. Like you genuinely feel better after the event. Like you can run for 10 kilometers and it can feel terrible. And one thing I do want to say is on Instagram, on socials, on anything, of course, you're always going to see everyone smiling. But I can honestly tell you that sometimes I go for a run and it can be my slow, easy run, and I can find it so difficult. So
hmm
don't always be disillusioned by social media. Like,
yeah,
like us athletes find it difficult as well. We just who posts. I try to be very authentic in my content and say like I struggled today or like the legs were hurting today. I've got DOMs, but like just getting over the small wins and the small setbacks can put you in the best place. And the biggest takeaway I take from how I've gotten to the paces I run today is literally one word, consistency. When I
yeah,
don't want to turn up, I turn up. If I don't hit the paces that I want to hit for that session, it doesn't matter. I've been consistent. I've turned up. I've been consistent with my diet, my running, and looking after myself. And it doesn't matter in the small picture of if you didn't hit the times you wanted to hit for that particular run. When you fast forward a year and you look at the bigger picture and you look at the progress because you've been consistent, that's where you'll see the most benefit.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you do any strength and conditioning?
Um, See, if there
You
was a
said you're
coach on
not a
here,
gym goer.
if there was a coach on here, I would say yes. My reality is I fell in love with running and just really enjoyed the running aspect of it. I probably do an hour a week. Realistically, I probably should do a lot more, but I do an hour a week.
Okay. I mean, that's actually, I was going to ask something about that as well. Because yeah, because I guess I tend to, I'm a bit of a running nerd and stuff as well. So I'm always like listening to podcasts about running and things like that and how to improve, but also the science behind it and stuff. And I was listening to a podcast from Runner's World not long ago. I can't remember the guy. Can't remember who he is. He'll come back to me at some point. But yeah, they touched on strength and conditioning because it is. I think it is a minefield because everyone knows how to run. Everyone knows how to lace up and get up, and you get out. Sorry, and you can go quite slow or you can go quite fast. Nobody's telling you what to do. You can do it. But then when it get down into the realms of strength and conditioning, I think the problem is that a lot of runners they don't do enough of it, or they don't structure it correctly into their program. And that doesn't mean to say you've got to do it 7 days a week, because that's just silly. But obviously, if you get into the realm of things where you're doing like once every 3 weeks, that's also not going to work. So I think personally for me, I believe that to be a better runner, you shouldn't just run for me, just in terms of it from a strength perspective, because I also think that um, more strength and conditioning obviously reduces the chance of injury and also helps with recovery. So I think there's a lot of benefits to it. But I think, yeah, like you said, it's fitting it in for one. It's knowing what to do for two, because if you don't know what you're doing and you try and do a workout and you hurt yourself, then you're not going to be able to run. So people get scared of doing that. Um, there are countless YouTube videos out there, or you got to pay for a coach. So I think it's just I think it's something that should be consistent in a running program. But again, I think I can understand why it isn't something that is used as much as it should, just because there's so many what ifs. And I think to schedule it into a regular program, something that is to take away from this, which I heard in this podcast, which is interesting, is to focus on your weaknesses. So, for example, instead of just doing a hit session just for the sake of it and squeezing it in, yes, it'll be beneficial. But what about on your sprint sessions or on those longer runs and you feel a bit of a tweak in your glute or your hamstrings and you're like, okay, I think I need to strengthen them. So then you can go online and look for a specific glute strengthening session and just do 20 minutes focusing on, strengthening them a couple of times a week. Things like that. If people take that away, um, it might work in their favor. Well, it will work in their favor personally, and I'm sure the science is behind it. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think too many people are just afraid of what to do and how often to do it, and so
For,
they need that bit of guidance.
for sure. And I think I am the perfect person that's in that boat. I think the convenience factor of going to a gym, for running, I put my shoes on and I go out the door and I'm done and I come back and it's really easy. But there is a lot of unknowns with strength and conditioning, especially for runners, and knowing what to do, what exercise are going to benefit, also what weights to use. Because, I did my first gym session. I like to push my body really hard, and I suffered with DOMS for 5 days, and that does sometimes just put you off doing it because I'm kind of like I lost a lot of, not a lot, I didn't lose a lot, but I scuppered my running for the week because I was running on DOMmed legs and running with a lot of pain. And I probably pushed myself way too hard. And there's a lot of unknowns with strength and conditioning. And also
Mm.
not just strength and conditioning, mobility as well. So
Yeah.
I've just been, there's a really good girl that I've been, went with yoga with. And she took me to yoga for my first ever time. And it became very, very apparent that runners, maybe not just all runners, but particularly me, I have zero mobility.
I'm
And
terrible myself. I'm like a
uh,
plank of wood.
so she she's a yoga instructor to be and like an amazing girl, but she was trying to help me. And like I cannot even like I'm like a halfway down my shin kind of guy, like trying to touch my toes. And I think one thing that is often overlooked is mobility and strength and conditioning and trying to fit it in. But again, it's just like, is it really that hard to fit in? Because like mobility, it could be 10 minutes before bed, you know it doesn't take that long. It's just being consistent with it. So, like moving forward, it's something that I'm going to focus on now because I know it's a weakness. And that kind of encompasses and circles what we were saying earlier about the fact that, like, the hardest part is like, I'm comfortable running, but I'm not comfortable going to yoga classes and doing things that I'm like really, really terrible at. So like it epitomizes what I was saying about like me now stepping outside of my comfort zone, doing it with someone that I'm really close to, who I've met through running and pushing me outside of my comfort zone. And that kind of like epitomizes everything that I've said throughout the podcast of like meeting people who are amazing for me, pushing me outside of my comfort zone. And it's through these kind of like run clubs and that kind of stuff. And now doing things that like you're not so good at. So I will do my best to improve my mobility and try and incorporate strength and conditioning. But as you say, it is difficult, but you've just got to be consistent with it.
Yeah, it is.
And also, I was going to say, with running, you've got the time that you can see like how you're doing. Like you can see what pace you're running at, your distance. Whereas like in the gym, I don't feel like I have that as much. Like, yeah, you can see you've done 10 sets or whatever you're doing, but because you're doing it as in for strength and conditioning rather than for like improving a particular lift or whatever, like
Yeah,
I'm a numbers guy, so I like seeing the progress and
yeah.
seeing my times. So that also makes it more difficult.
Well, there's two aspects to what you were saying then, actually. So when it comes to, I got to try and remember because I was thinking then. First of all, you should make a note of a guy's name called
Don't
Vlad.
say Nick. I thought you were going to say
No,
Nick Bear
shut
then.
up, you. Shut up. Although I don't know how flexible he is, whatever. No, Vlad Ixel, his name is. He does everything from 10K right up to ultras. He lives in Australia. He's a Hungarian guy, and he has so many videos on YouTube that are free. He sounds like a rock star, Vlad Ixel. Sounds like he should be a frontman for a heavy metal band, but he's an incredible North Face sponsored runner. And his mobility sessions range from 20 minutes to 35 minutes. That's all. And I tell you what, I have done a few of them. No weights. He doesn't, every now and then he uses one dumbbell that you can see from the weight of it in the video. It's like 2K. It's nothing, 2 kilograms. And every now and then he uses a band and he has incredible mobility and he does mobility exercises for like knees, ankles, really simple workouts that you don't feel anything really at the time. You don't finish the session sweating, but I tell you what, the next day you'll ache in places that you've never ached, but not to a point where like it's gonna scupper your running. You'll feel it, and I start to incorporate that a couple of times into my week. I have like he's got a glute one, pre-warning. Anybody who tries that, my ass was killing me for days afterwards. I was in a lot of pain. Like it, yeah, sitting on the toilet was not fun. But he's really good. But yeah, when it comes to mobility, I remember, and also I saw your post on the hot pod yoga.
Yeah,
So I've done it a few. Well, so a little story on that. We went to the same one. Me and my wife did. I think you did.
yeah.
And we booked like this was way back. You could tell it was way back because we didn't have this. We don't have this much spare time anymore because we've got a kid. But we booked a class. No, we booked a block session and we thought that we could use those sessions for like the month spread out, but you couldn't. You had to use them in a week. So we did 7 in 7 days,
No
every day.
way.
Because we were like, I'm not wasting my money on this. I tell you what, the first 3 days I was like, I'm invincible. I'm basically Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport right now. Like I'm awesome. 4 or 5 days, and then towards the seventh day, he was having reverse effects, and I was in so much pain. Like I was fed up. But it is an incredible exercise. Yoga is phenomenal. And I'll never forget during a Joe Rogan podcast, he was quoting someone else who said it's a martial art against yourself. Because it really is. It's so hard, especially if like you two, you know, like Nathan said, he's like a plank of wood, and you're saying like you're not very flexible yourself. I mean, it can be improved over time, and it's tough. I've always been blessed in that sense. I've always been quite flexible. Um, and there's a hell of a lot of, you know, that can be said for flexibility and mobility. You look at all the NBA players and sprinters and stuff, and a lot of them who are like injury free, they put it down to mobility and yoga and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely something. But then, like you said, the counter argument is time.
Yeah,
But
but for sure, like it'll
yeah,
improve like your running economy and everything like that. If like you're flexible enough to do that and to like stretch, like it will improve your running economy. I know there's so many benefits to it, but it's sometimes taking that leap to actually go. And
yeah,
like for a lot of people, like I would have never done it alone. So having her take me like for my first session, like gets you into that comfort blanket. Whereas like where now, like I would be way more comfortable doing it on my own. I know where it is. I've got that sense of familiarity, but
yeah.
it's so hard. Like in a hot tent, like honestly half an hour in that hot pod yoga, I have never sweated so much. Like even on race day in the heat, I am not sweating the amount of me being stationary in this tent, like trying to touch my toes. So on one side, you've got stationary trying to touch your toes. The other, I am going full pelt 5K, and I am absolutely hanging on this yoga. But I tell you what, I got the endorphin hit. I felt great afterwards, and like I ran today, like the day after, and I feel really good.
Awesome.
Um, so yeah, it's just incorporating those things that push you out your comfort zone. But Christ, that is hot. And if anyone's listening and wants to try hot bod yoga, you should because it is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Remember, you can do all of these at home. Like there was, because, you know, I do, I just simply don't have the money to just go to yoga classes as much as I'd love to, because we used to go quite regularly. But
Yeah,
again, I can drop you a message after this, and we can tag them in this. As a really awesome yoga instructor called Kat Meffin. Again, YouTube videos are free, and she has everything for beginner classes that are literally like 10-minute, very simple, structured. She talks you through it, and like it's very easy to kind of see the movements, right up to like standing on one arm while scratching your ass with the other and drinking a McDonald's smoothie. It's insane. Like some of the intermediate classes I've put on, I've got 5 minutes in and just been like, yep, this is not for me, because it's just too tough. So but it's obviously just to show the example. She has everything. She's amazing, and I tend to do that at home. Just to
yeah,
touch on the thing you said earlier on about weights and stuff like that, almost all of my hit sessions and strength and conditioning are body weight. I've got dumbbells. I did one today with dumbbells for the first time in ages, and my frigging shoulders today are killing me now. But normally, all body weight. Like, you cannot get a better workout than the basic core movements: press ups, sit ups, burpees, squats. You do enough of them, you know, over, you know, 45 seconds on with 20 seconds off. I'm telling you, you will notice a difference. The strength and conditioning, chucking some Romanian, like, sorry, some split squats and things like that, you know, it'll all work in your favor. So I guess it's out there, but it is time, and I get it. It's hard, but yeah, I think it'll pay dividends in the end. So, out of curiosity, you've run up to half marathon at the moment. You said London Marathon is your dream.
yeah.
Hmm.
Um, talking
I
about
know where you're going.
no, go on, you say it then.
So, have you ever thought about running an ultra? Because I do think that the perfect ultra for you would be the Cannon.
The Canon, what's that?
It's
Oh,
canal, so it's flat.
What is it? Taft Trail?
No, Brecon Canal. So
Yeah, that's
14
Taft.
locks
40
That's
up to
blocks,
Taft
Brecon.
Trail. What from Cardiff?
No, from Rogerstone, Newport.
Newport,
Oh, oh, okay.
42 miles.
42 miles. It's flat. That does sound appealing.
Horrible.
I think for me, I'm always focused on the next challenge, and an ultra would probably be on the horizon. But I am quite enjoying like trying to hit times for certain distances at the moment. So I don't see it as like a an immediate thing, but like longer term, definitely. I have one morning woken up, had a banana for breakfast, and decided I was going to run 10K, ended up running 50K. So I have technically ran an ultra off a banana with no aid stations, just by myself,
Wow.
but
Definitely.
doing an actual race where I like the element of competition, so I would want to do well and like train for it properly. I think it would take a lot of training to get to that stage for me, but I like you can do an ultra at whatever pace you want, obviously, but like I would probably be quite competitive with it. So I think longer term, yes, but we're looking kind of a few years out. I really want to get myself immersed in terms of the marathons before I tackle anything else.
Have you
Oh,
been back on a trail since it's why we run?
I have not.
Ah,
I've been focusing on the road. I am very prone to injury, probably because I do no S&C or very little S&C. And rolling my ankles is something that the British potholes like to do to me. So I haven't been out on them yet. I also don't have the correct shoes because I was slipping and sliding everywhere. But if like why we run or like a trail was doing like an event, I would go and join because I just love it for the community aspect of it. But I
yeah.
haven't actually been out on the trails because I've been quite strict in terms of like my training regime up to Cardiff Half.
will you
Yeah.
be watching it? Because it starts tomorrow.
What's it starts
It's
tomorrow,
why
does
we
it?
run. Yeah, it's tomorrow morning.
Where?
Down in Pembroke, 5 days, 168 miles.
Damn, that's impressive. I did see it
Mhm.
on the why we run WhatsApp, so I'll have a little look, yeah.
Yeah,
Class.
it's stunning. It was a post today, and I was in it, and I was just, oh, do you know, I wish I'd done it again.
Yeah. Well,
It looks awesome.
I just think like again, like being in group chats like that and seeing like people like like even when I can't run, I get so much satisfaction from seeing other people do well and like supporting them. So like seeing people like do their own challenges and ultras and being in these group chats like where I can see like people do like thriving, like that is an amazing thing to be a part of as well. And you might not be the one running, but like to be a part of someone's journey and to be like talking to them, seeing how they're doing is also super powerful. And like an example of that was literally on Thursday, Johnny Davis doing the Capitals 960 kilometers over 11 days. Absolutely phenomenal. And I decided to go out and support him. I did 25K in full kit into the night, so running through the night so I could relieve his team and push through and help him through that challenge up the Brecon Hills. And you know what? It was one of the most rewarding runs I've ever done because seeing him do his challenge, like it may not have done anything for my training, but seeing someone else thrive and like complete their challenge and the elation at the end is just so powerful. And it's not something that you won't get elsewhere.
Yeah, I
Mm.
met him on the Friday in Tonquinlice,
Oh yeah,
and
no.
as we got closer to Cardiff, people were joining us. By the time we got to Cardiff, there was like 30 to 50 people.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you did to him in Brecon, but he was battered. You were saying that it's not the going up the hills, it's the coming down. His
Mm,
quads were just on fire.
Yeah.
yeah, the
But
Brecon
did you
Hills
Yeah.
are
know?
relentless.
Yeah, did you notice though his height has really helped him?
Oh, he's a tall, strong guy. Yeah.
Because one stride is like miles, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I was taking three for his one, to be honest.
He gets everywhere really quick. There's a
Yeah,
mile.
yeah. Absolute
In
animal going up
8 seconds.
that hill.
Yeah, man, that's class. Well, only just to rewind a little bit and go back to then the half marathon training, mate, if you don't mind me asking, just
For
because I
sure.
know a few people who are like doing the half, like the Cardiff half, sorry, is the first, and like, or a few people that are training. Talking about the fundamental elements that make up half marathon training or that make up your half marathon trainings for you. What are there any like non-negotiable aspects of putting together like a half marathon training plan? And actually, second part of that, do you have a coach or do you do it yourself?
I'll answer the second part. I coach myself.
Amazing.
And I just do it through experience. And I currently am on the pathway to become a UK athletics coach. It's something that as I was just saying, like it's so rewarding seeing other people do well. So I would just want some like qualification behind it before I actually do help people. Um, so yeah, I coach myself and make my own training plans. Non-negotiables. Okay. Something that I learned very late into my running journey is the 80-20 rule. Now, the 80-20 rule, for those of you that don't know, is 80% zone two and the rest you can then push. And it's essentially doing your easy runs easy and your hard runs hard. And since I since I implemented the 80-20 rule, I found me getting injured so much less because I was taking 80% of my time of my running super easy, which meant that I wasn't putting my body through the pressures and the discomfort that it would go through if I was doing hard efforts all of the time. And then when it came to a hard session, like a track session or like an interval session, a hill session, I could really push harder than I thought because I'd essentially saved some energy throughout those easy runs.
Mm.
So my biggest non-negotiable is I see a lot of people push too hard on all of their runs, and you gain so much more from doing zone two and building up your aerobic base. And the way I explain it in the simplest form is imagine a pyramid, and the base level of the pyramid is your zone two. The more zone two you do, the larger the base. And the larger the base of the pyramid, the taller you can get, the faster you can get. So if you do that and you're consistent with your zone two, and you may not see immediate progress, it is a long-term thing.
Jesus. Sorry,
But
carry on. My camera fell then. Carry on.
I was like, where's he gone? It may not be consistent and you may not see the progress immediately, but you're building that huge base that is then gonna like get you right to the pinnacle of your fitness. So I'd say my biggest non-negotiable is the amount of zone two people do.
Okay. Wicked. And well, that kind of leads me on too, because you're obviously a very fast runner. So is that how you strike the balance between being as fast as you are and but also being able to hold on to that speed for 13.1 miles? Like, is that how you do that? Is that you've got to that?
Definitely. And I think I'll give you an example of this. Like when I wasn't doing the 80-20 rule, I would finish an all-out 5K and I would be absolutely done. Like the whole day is a write-off after an all-out 5K. Like in bed, like feet up, like tired, groggy, everything. Since I started doing my aerobic based training, I can do an all-out 5K and don't get me wrong, it is the same amount of effort that I'm putting in before. But because I've built up that base, I could then carry on. It might be slower, but I just feel good at the end of races. So like building up to the half marathon, when I ran the Swansea half marathon, which was my current PB, like I finished and I was like, I feel amazing because I'd done so much base training. My
Mm,
aerobic capacity was huge and was
mm.
enabled me to push those paces then. So I'd say it was definitely the biggest thing that's changed in my training that's like helped me progress.
Awesome. Fair enough. That's awesome. And what's the time you've got for Cardiff? One.
So the London Marathon qualifying time is actually 1 hours 12:30. I'm going off at an hour 12. I would love to see 1:11 something, even if it's 1:11:59. That's the time I'm aiming for, and I'm just gonna give it my all and sometimes take that step back and sometimes again I'd say like when you're on your running journey, everyone's got their own journey. Sometimes it's good to take a step back and realize how far you've come.
Mhm.
And I made a reel about it because you may not hit the time you want. And this comes for anyone running the Cardiff Half. You may not get that PB, you may not get the time you're striving towards, but just remember like all of that consistent training you've done, all of that progress you've made, and just take a step back and realize, you know what? Like you don't PB on every race. You don't like you can't be the best every single time, but when you're consistent with it, you will see improvement. So take that step back, realize how far you've come, and enjoy it. And if I was to give one advice for Cardiff Half Marathon is just enjoy it. Like you would have done the training for it, you would have put yourself in the best prep that you can, go out there and give it your best. And whatever your best is on the day, it doesn't matter. That is your best. The crowds are wild, the atmosphere is amazing, and just soak it in because
Mhm.
that is why we run.
Yeah, that's very true. Although running at an hour 11, I don't know how you'd soak anything in. I'd be in hell, honestly. It's just you'd be moving too quick to even acknowledge anyone. But what's the pace that you'd have to do per mile for like,
So it's about 5:29 per mile, so sub 5:30
no,
miles,
no, that's interesting.
3:24 per kilometer. But it is funny you say that. I did the largest fun run in Sydney. It's called City to Surf, and I raced that and I finished it. And I ended up going back to run with a friend because they'd not even gone through the start line at this point because there's 80,000 runners.
What?
And I went back to the start and I start running with them and I was saying to them, this band weren't here when I was running through. Like they were not here, but they all were. I wasn't soaking it up. So something that I have taken on board now is like actually to like look, lift your head up and enjoy it. Like look around and just see it. Like I've got a really fond memory of Swansea Half Marathon. You know the bins with the target sign above them?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we're all running at sub an hour, sub 75-minute half marathon. And this guy launches a bottle and gets it, hits the target and boom. And we all just like we're in a pack of like five. We all just literally we don't stop, but we all just feel like we all just start clapping. We're just like and it's moments like that where you're just like, wow, just enjoy it. Like this is like to be a part of the race is like an amazing achievement anyway. So
yeah. That's epic. That is true. I always say like in trail running and stuff like that, when you're running like big distances, you got no choice really but to take it in because obviously you have to walk some of the hills because they're insanely steep. But yeah, when you're running your kind of pace, I would just be focusing on not dying. Like you're an alien. You really like I just can't. I can't. Like I've done one sub 25K and I got it. It was like 19 minutes 50 or something.
yeah.
And I've said this a couple of times. I thought I was going to die, legit, like for a start. I was in peak fitness as well. I was doing really good. And I led on the side of the park that I was running around, the little one by where I used to live. And this woman walking the dog past me was like, "Are you all right, Lev?" And I was like, "No, no, I'm not. I am not okay."
But that's
And
an
then I
amazing
could
achievement. Well done.
thank
Sub
you. It
20.
was. I don't think I'll ever be able to beat it, but I mean, I'm going to try again soon. I think because I found an athletic track near me that
Yeah.
is free in 24 hours. So it's literally an 8 minute drive, but I could taste blood, and I was like, that's not normal. Like, so then I looked online, and apparently, when you look it up, it's like to do with tiny little pockets of something or other in your lungs that like burst when you push yourself so hard. And I was like, okay, that's not cool. I was coughing for like a good 2 hours afterwards, and I was like, yeah, let's not do that again. So to think of running that pace for 13 miles, I don't see. I'm so impressed. Like you've
Uh,
said it a few times, like about how inspired you get when you see other people doing well. And like I said, when your videos pop up, I always make sure I have a look because even your sessions, like your intervals and your sprint sessions and stuff, like it looks disgusting, but I know the feeling of how good it is when you finish them. Like you're in
oh,
hell the entire time, but when you pass out on the floor afterwards, it's just like, fuck, I feel so good. I'm so glad I did that.
literally.
Um,
And it can literally be the first rep. You've got the demons going in your head, like, how the hell am I going to do like 10 of these? And then you just take each one as it comes and push through. Um, Everyone's pushing as hard as they can. And, it's so easy to like question yourself whether you can hit the paces that you want to hit on race day or the paces you want to hit for those interval sessions. But like just turning up and doing it, like it scares me my half marathon time. Like it's running a 5K in 17:10 four times, and that scares me. But if it doesn't scare you, it's not a challenge. So
exactly.
like just go for it. Just go for it. And like what have you got to lose, man? It's an amazing experience. So and I just feel so grateful when I think about these things to be a part of it and the fact that like I'm going to be running it. And 2 years ago, I'd be sat playing Warzone and, you know, maybe running a half marathon with my character, but like now I'm out there doing it in real life. So
Mate, you're going to be entering a real life war zone, like where you're literally going to be in, and the war is going to be with yourself for an
yeah,
hour and 11 minutes, mate. You'll crush it, I reckon. I reckon you'll do it. Just looking at your training, and I mean, don't at the end of the day, and I don't need to tell you this, but if you don't hit that 111, it's fine. Also, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to absolutely crush your time and beat your previous PB anyway. Um, and there's always other ways of getting into the London Marathon. But
the
I'm really excited to see what you do, and like, but I'm doing it as well. And
Cardiff half.
yeah, don't look out for me because you won't
I
see me.
will. I will. I will. I will. I'll look out for you.
No, you won't see. I mean, you might see me when we're all standing there when they're singing and stuff, and that'll be the last time you see me. And what you could probably come back and finish it with me as well if you want.
I honestly, I'm a big fan of cool downs. Like every session I do that is also a non-negotiable, by the way, a warm up and a cool down. Since doing
Mhm.
that, like I've found that I've like flushed the lactic out, feel good. But at the end of a half marathon race, I tell you right now, there is nothing worse than doing a 2K cool down. So I'm going straight to the Pont Canner Inn and getting some food down me because I need
Yeah,
a treat after that.
certainly do, mate. Um, we can't do this podcast without mentioning Love Live Light Healing Hub, mate. We can't because I don't know if you know, but I've known Rico for probably the best part of 20 years. So known
Oh,
him a
amazing.
hell of a long time. So I've known him from since way back. When he was, well, I mean, when he first started doing his futsal and everything and
Yeah,
rapping and what have you, and he's one of those guys who's just a naturally talented guy, and everything he does with such intent, and he does it so well. And I had no doubt that the Healing Hub would take off when he did it. And I haven't been, unfortunately, to one of his run clubs yet. I've moved up to Tonnereval now, so it's a bit of a trek on a Friday night, unfortunately for me, with the young one as well. But I am fully intending on getting down there. But they just look like heaps of fun. Like they look awesome.
they are, and they're really, really good to me. Something that I haven't always taken on board is recovery, and since like going there and actually taking my recovery like seriously, I have my training has gone ramped up another level. Like sitting on the pressor therapy that they've got and getting that tightness, the blood flowing around my legs. And then I literally feel like a new person. The infrared sauna is amazing. And the food there that they do, wow, it's just like
Yeah,
the acai bowls are like, oh, like my favorite thing I've ever tried. And they're healthy. So it's a win-win. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, they run a run club every other Friday. And essentially it just brings a lot of people, like-minded people, people that are interested in wellness, well-being, all together to run a very sociable 5K, as in it's achievable for absolutely everyone around Cardiff. And then you go back to the hub after and you get your acai bowl, your drink and whatever you want. And it's just such a nice environment to be a part of with like-minded people, people that and you always get new people there every week and they're like, oh, it's my first time. And literally they keep coming back because it's just so, so amazing what they've built. And they're building a new one in Newport now as well.
yeah.
And like, yeah, the hub is just the place to be.
It is. What we have, I've already spoken to Rico, so we are going to. We've got a few things to sort out logistics, but we're going to be doing a podcast in the Healing Hub with Rico.
Yeah,
So we're actually going to go along and have a chat with him because he's had such a cool, varied career, and he's like the first Welsh international futsal indoor player. He's played with like gigs and is it Ronaldo or Ronaldinho, and he's
yeah,
traveled like played all over the world. Such an interesting character and a thoroughly, genuinely lovely guy. Um, and I think that we'll do like a little video where he's going to show us like his facilities and stuff. But yeah, he's I always pop in when I'm in the area. But
yeah. Rico and
yeah,
Tess are the most down-to-earth people I've literally ever met. They're
yeah,
all smiling and like just amazing to be around of, and that's what it's about, like being around those type of people that just like put a smile on your face without even saying a word. It's just so
hell,
powerful.
hell yes. Um, awesome. Don't know if you've got any other questions, Nate, that you want to ask. Actually, I was going to ask one. Have you considered doing the super? Oh, what's the half marathon?
Super
Super,
half.
super half 6, is it, or something? Like
Yes,
Berlin.
I have. Well, I actually did Lisbon half marathon this year, and it was an amazing, amazing experience. Like like incorporating two of my, well, pretty much my only two, but like my two main hobbies, traveling and running. Yeah, the super halves is definitely on the horizon. I struggled with the heat in Lisbon. It was March. I think it was about 28 degrees. The sun was out. The fire engines were out with their hose pipes cooling us down, but it was an amazing experience. So the super halves is definitely something I'll consider doing in a few, next year or even the year after.
Banging. Nice one. Nate, I don't know if you've got any other questions you want to ask, mate? My voice went
No,
again. No?
no.
Sorry,
Well, I
I'm
was
such
gonna
a waffler. I've probably like waffled on way too much. Like,
no, mate,
You
don't
pretty
this
much
this is
answered everything for us.
yeah,
uh,
you have. Yeah, it's been a really cool, insightful episode, and I know people are gonna take a lot from it. So,
yeah.
I tried to do like a bit of a quick fire stupid thing at the end of it. So I'll try and come up with some questions for you with the help of ChatGPT, just to see what I can come up with.
Well,
But
based on this whole podcast, all I'll say is like my biggest takeaway from everything I've learned throughout my whole 2 years is to be consistent and enjoy
yeah,
the journey and the process.
yeah,
Like everyone's got an end goal that they want to achieve, but the way I see it now is like for the Cardiff Half Marathon, like this 6 week of training that I've done is my journey, and I have thoroughly enjoyed my journey. Cardiff Half Marathon is like my victory lap, and
yeah,
you know, I've just enjoyed the journey. So really embrace whatever challenge or whatever you're doing in your own training, and enjoy that journey. Be consistent with it, and it's gonna put a smile on your face. Like you've probably seen me in this whole podcast talk. Like I am smiling like ear to ear
yeah,
because that like that's how I feel. So and that's how everyone could feel.
yeah, exactly. Banging. Um,
Come on,
instead of doing
ChatGPT, roast me.
Well, I'm trying to come up with a few things. One thing I have asked a few people recently, which I find an interesting question, I hope nobody ever asks me because I don't know the answer. I'd have to really think about it. Is if you could write a book about your journey so far, what would it be called?
Ooh, that is a
Yeah,
good question. If
tough,
I
isn't
could
it?
write a book about my journey,
You probably call it consistency.
yeah, oh God, how running transformed my life.
Yeah, wicked. I mean, that's pretty much, yeah, fair.
Or yeah,
I mean, you can't get more straight to
or
the
the
point.
phrase that I've used quite a lot. What was the phrase I used? How I became comfortable, like being uncomfortable,
Being uncomfortable. Yes. Nice. Yeah, I like
or
that.
pushing
Okay.
through limits, something like that.
Pushing through limits, something like that. See, I've got you thinking now. No, you're a thinker. You can end up messaging me a couple of different titles now
I
off the back of
actually will. I
conversation.
actually will. Yeah.
I've changed my mind. Can we record again?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do a quick fire round, quite innocent and simple. Um, Morning runs or night runs?
Morning.
Favorite running shoes?
Asics Gel Nimbus.
Ooh,
And that's for training and for races, Nike Vaporfly.
Vaporfly. Nice. Okay. Running solo with a group. You've already answered that one.
Group.
Yeah, I know that one. Um, Trying to think. Pre-race breakfast, snack, or ritual.
Porridge, honey, and chia seeds.
Nice.
And
Okay.
banana. Banana, don't forget banana.
A banana. Um, Coffee or tea?
Neither.
Oh, come again?
Yeah, I don't drink hot drinks.
You drink hot drinks?
Nah.
What? What? Have you tried it?
Nah.
So you can't say you don't like them then?
Yeah, no, I just don't drink them. No.
What? Wow, that's blown my
Yeah,
mind.
just
Okay.
electrolytes and squash. Yeah.
What? That's mad. Okay, and then a non-running related question. What's one non-running related bucket list dream? Any bucket list?
I've got so many. Antarctica is the one continent I haven't been to.
Oh. The one continent. Have you been to all the others?
I have, yeah.
Have you actually?
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's like a whole nother episode. That is, I didn't
Uh,
even know that.
yeah, I am a very, very keen traveler. So, yeah,
How many countries
Antarctica.
have you? Is that the 40 countries that you've written in your Instagram then?
Yeah, yeah,
What? Wow. Okay, maybe
yeah.
that's a conversation for when we're having a run next or something together.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
could go on forever. I
But
suppose I should ask then, what your favorite place is then?
my favorite place. Oh, that is so hard. I think a place that's got a bit of everything that I really enjoyed was Peru.
Wow.
I think in terms of like it's got the hiking element of like I did the Inca Trail and Machu Picchu. The people there are absolutely amazing. It's got some really cool like other things that m maybe tourists aren't so aware of, like Huacachina, which is like an oasis in the desert. It's got Rainbow Mountain, Red Valley. The food is phenomenal. If you're vegetarian, I'm not so sure because I'm not a veggie, but and yeah, an amazing experience.
Awesome. Wicked. Well, mate, that's a good place to end it there. And I mean, unless you've got anything else you wanted to talk about, just wanted to say thank you for coming on, Sam. And I mean, I'm legitimately not blowing smoke up your ass when I say that I am impressed every single time I see your posts. I really am like genuinely inspired and impressed. And it's just an awesome journey you've been on, and you're very young into that journey. So I know you've got so much more to conquer. Can't wait to see what you do for the Cardiff half and going forward. And yeah, just thank you so much for taking the time to come on here, mate. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much for
cheers,
having
Sam.
me, and I'll see you at the Cardiff half.
Very briefly, yeah, you'll see
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I'm aiming for hour 9 minutes, so I might beat you.
Oh, I'll just watch the back of you just fly off then. Yeah.
But for about 15 seconds, maybe. Yeah, then I'll be it. Then I'll be behind you.
Yeah. Um, I'd also say like don't compare yourself to anyone. That's something
Yes.
that I'd take away from it as well. It's so easy nowadays, especially with Strava. Like it's so easy for me to go onto someone else's run and look and compare my heart rate, compare my pace, compare everything. Just remember you're on your own journey, and my heart rate is much like if I compare myself to one of my friends, Dan, he can sustain such a lower heart rate than me at the same pace, but I am faster than him. And that's just an example of like don't compare yourself to anyone, and it's so easily done, but embrace your own journey. And yeah, that's a big one for me.
Beautiful. Nice, man. Thank you very much for that. That's awesome. And again, thank you so much for coming on, mate. Just
No, thank you for
all
your
the best,
time.
mate. Yeah, enjoy your well, was it a tape? I suppose you're on a taper now, are you? Well, almost.
Yeah, so this week is taper week. So I'll be doing about 80K this week.
Only 80K. Fair enough.
Yeah, but it's so daunting. But like if I said that 2 years ago, I'd be like 80K. Oh, in a week. I wouldn't even think about doing that in a month. Um, but yeah, it is a taper from 105.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. Yeah, fair. Good. Well, enjoy it, mate, and get some of those S&C sessions in, and some mobility, and yeah.
Yeah, some more hot yoga
Um,
and mobility. Let's push myself out my comfort zone a bit more.
oh yeah, hell yeah. We're good,
Love
mate.
it.
We'll enjoy it. Pleasure speaking to you, mate. You have a nice evening, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Peace.
Good luck,
Thank you
Sam.
very much.
Cheers,
Cheers,
Sam.
mate.
Take
Cheers,
care.
Reese. Thanks for having me.
Bye. So that's it, guys. As always, thank you so much to anyone who has tuned in, listened, and subscribed to our previous episodes. You're all awesome. And just, yeah, keep tuning in and please keep following us because without you, this wouldn't be possible. Thanks ever so much for listening and take care.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.